Welcome back to Football on the 40. Like our Longhorns, we took the bye off last week to rest and recuperate, and we're super pumped to be back for an exciting and challenging 2 week stretch and potentially rest of October, but especially these next 2 weeks with OU and Georgia on the horizon. My name's Bowen, and as always, I'm joined by Kevin and Andy. This podcast is produced by Hamilton. Fellas, on the bye, it was super, super well timed because listeners, if you guys weren't paying attention to the rest of college football this past weekend, it went kind of crazy, kind of berserk. It was chaos everywhere, and I'm glad Texas was no part of it. Just a quick snapshot. Number one, Alabama lost to Vandy. Vanderbilt students and fans carried the goalpost all the way to the river. They're auctioning parts of the goalpost off. It's pretty sweet. Number four, Tennessee lost to Arkansas. Number nine, Missouri lost to A&M. Number 10, Michigan lost to Washington. And number 11, USC lost to Minnesota. Just a bloodbath all across the top 25. And CDC did it again. He finagled us out of this chaos this past weekend, and hopefully this upcoming week's Red River Rivalry matchup against OU will settle down. I think everyone got it out of their system. And, as y'all know, College Game Day won't be at Dallas this year, but the three of us on the podcast will be. How could we miss this tradition? I'm so excited to see you guys. We've got a huge weekend lined up that we're all excited about. And even though Texas, as a teaser, is a pretty heavy favorite going into this weekend, as y'all know, it's always crazy. Every year is crazy. We're excited to break it down with all you guys. And yeah, see what's in store. But first, checking in, fellas. How was the bye week? Andy, Kev, what did y'all do during the bye week? Kevin, we'll start with you first. How was your bye week?
It was good. I actually took a literal bye off of work, and I had the whole week off and enjoyed the beach with my family. So it was good family time, good rest and recuperation. Had fun with Hayes on the beach, played a little golf, grilled out. It was perfect. And then we actually drove back Saturday, so I was watching a lot of these games, like the Bama game, on my phone on the way home. Uh, and yeah, I'm excited to get into it. Like, obviously, this is a big weekend for us and our friend group and everything, but definitely having watched all those games, it like raises my level of concern a little bit, maybe a lot. Overall, though, good bye week and a lot of great football to watch when the Longhorns weren't playing. What were you up to, Andrew?
Well, the listeners, I think they got to know this. Did you actually buy puka shells?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. And I wore my puka shell necklace to dinner a couple nights. One night at a Mexican restaurant, a guy next to us actually like tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "What the hell are you wearing?" Um, but
He
yeah, it
was
was a
clearly
little
jealous.
bit
He was
all
clearly
week.
jealous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he wanted to be a part of it, part of the
Yeah.
club, you know?
yeah. But we were at like the beach t-shirt shop, and I was walking around a little bored the first day, and I was like, "What can I buy that like will piss off Laurel like the most?" And that was it. But
Nice.
Wise investment. I love it. I
yeah.
love it. Yeah, last weekend was good. I guess the previous weekend watched the game with some friends in Houston, and then this past weekend, no Texas game, but just watched a ton of college football. Mary Page had some work related stuff this weekend, so she was busy. So I was watching Beasley, watching football. Probably way too much screen time for him, but I don't care. It was an amazing Saturday of college sports. So, but yeah, it was awesome. Awesome weekend. Bo, what about you?
Yeah, we had a good weekend as well. Saw some friends on both Saturday and Sunday. Did music class for Theo. Got in all the activities on the bye week. So in the fall, Emily's really happy during the bye week because yeah, no college football, or at least no Texas football, which is what I prioritize, and I just kind of keep an eye out on the rest of the games. But yeah, had a good restful weekend and excited about the weekend ahead. Yeah, we'll get into that for sure. But before we get into OU and the weekend ahead, quick pulse check, fellas. As I alluded to, we have a pretty tough back to back these next couple weeks. We have OU, which always is crazy, and then the Georgia Bulldogs coming into Austin. the week after. Jake's hot dog party will be then. F1's going to be then. It's gonna be all hands on deck. We
Yeah.
got a crazy couple weeks. I don't know how we're gonna focus on work. How are y'all feeling? What's the level of concern? Where's your head at? Andy, we'll go back to you. Let's start with you first. How are you feeling?
Uh, about this weekend, I'll dive into it a little bit more later. Uh, Texas winning overall, I feel pretty good about that. Obviously, it's a rivalry game, so you never know what's going to happen. But I would be pretty disappointed if we lost this weekend. And then so yeah, so that's just kind of my overall confidence. Excited that the Georgia game's at 6:30 at night. That's going to be a amazing atmosphere. So can't wait for that. But what about y'all?
Yeah, I feel like this week and next is going to be when we find out like how good this team really is. And I'm nervous with just that unknown. Like we've played a great 5 games, but these are two really serious opponents. Like we're feeling great after playing ULM and Mississippi State, which is one of the worst teams in the SEC back to back. And our next two opponents are nothing like those two and present a lot of challenges that we haven't seen before. So just not fear of the unknown, but I'm kind of like antsy. I almost wish I could fast forward and like see how this turns out because we could be talking about, hoping to sneak into the college football playoff here in just a couple weeks, or we could be, continuing to try to temper our expectations, but also being like extremely excited with teams like Alabama and Michigan faltering. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, I've got a lot more driving to do with going to Dallas and Austin back to back, like a lot more gas money. Thank God I'm staying with you, Bowen. The weekend of the Georgia game because hotel prices are insane there. But like just from a fan perspective, I'm a little bit nervous, but also like I'm gonna try to soak it in as much as I can because these might be like two of the best 3 games of the season. Um,
Yeah.
but definitely, I think I'm less optimistic about this one than you are, Andrew, but still confident, just kind of a little antsy. I wish I could
Yeah.
watch this game
Would y'all
now.
would y'all take 1-1 over the next two games if someone gave that to you right now?
Man, that's a good question. If
I
if
mean,
the loss is
most
I'd
years
take
you
one
would
on
say
one.
yes.
yeah,
I
if
think I'd take one on one.
if the loss is Georgia, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Um,
I agree. I agree.
but if the loss is Oklahoma, also yes. I don't know. I don't know. Like, so I was thinking like 0-2 would just be catastrophic, but I guess yeah. Do I want that? No.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's would you take it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it'll be fun to see how Oklahoma goes. And listeners, we as a friend group have we've been going to well, Andy's been going to OU since he was basically out of the womb. I think Kevin's gone before college as well. But since we've been friends when we met in college, we've gone to OU most years, and we've developed a number of traditions. So I wanted to ask you guys, what is y'all's favorite Texas OU tradition that we do? Kevin, we'll start with you first.
Mine's probably the Friday night dinner that we get together for. Um, this tradition for us started actually when we were, I think, juniors in college. So that was 2014. So this will be, our 10th-ish year doing it, ninth if you aren't counting the COVID year where we didn't go. But um, Jake, myself, and Laurel kind of just text everyone we know and try to get as big as group of possible to go out, usually to Mexican food on Friday. This year we're going to have around 30 people, even though you and Emily aren't able to come, Bo, and it's going to be a big group. And we always end the dinner by like trying to sing the Eyes of Texas so loud that we get kicked out of the restaurant, literally. Um,
We should post the reel from last year or from years
yeah,
Yeah, we
prior.
should.
Let the
yeah,
listeners know.
we have some good videos on that, but like usually I get pumped and like stand up on the chair and just, you know, kind of regret how loud I get. But that's something we've been doing for a long time, and I just really enjoy huge dinners like that. And I mean, a table of 30 is a blast every time. So I look forward to that the most. What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, involving our friend group, definitely the dinners, and just Friday night overall. I just think it's a really fun night. A lot of memories throughout the years, and hopefully many more to come. Um, but yeah, overall for Texas OU, just going to the game with my family. That's why it's special for me. Not necessarily the game itself. Obviously, the game is special too, but it's just more of a family event that I've always cherished a lot. So that's why it's special to me. But what about you?
Yeah, I feel like I like the morning of a lot. I don't know, it might be cheesy, but I like the ritual of prep and my heart rate just immediately spiking like right when I wake up. And when we stay at the Lizers, which is most years, we can always count on Hamilton's dad to be on the couch in front of the TV watching game day already. He might have had some breakfast for us, and then we'll just get into Ham's car, jump into a $20 parking spot, who knows where, and then start the march into the state fair. It's a fun ritual, and there might be a Ham usually tries to wrangle a group of us to do some of those listeners. Hamilton has this our producer, esteemed producer Hamilton, he has this like ginormous handle of Tito's that he just carries around, and he puts like burnt orange glitter, edible glitter into it, and it makes it look like this ridiculous vortex. And somehow, some way, people just end up taking pulls. It just happens. My brother's done it when he's come with us from over the years, and Hamilton also somehow procured a label maker, so he has the record for how often we've done well when people take pulls, which just incites people even more. So it's a whole
Yeah.
establishment. It is quite something, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think eventually the bottle will be totally covered. I think last I checked there was 3 labels on there.
Yeah.
And it's something that only gets brought out for OU games.
Yeah.
Um, it's it looks disgusting, and like the thought of eating glitter is just really not appealing, but it has not gone away, and I think all of us feel the same about that one. It will be there this year.
Yeah, that is for sure. Yeah, he's already sent
Um,
us some teaser photos.
yeah.
Well, we also had a couple mailbags, which we usually save to the end, but we thought it made sense for this segment for a couple of them. One mailbag from Matt Hack. He asked, "What's the best food at the state fair?" So, depending on who you are, and this might be a hot take. I mean, there's always like a wide array of, award-winning foods. But Andy, we'll start with you first. Are you a traditional guy? Do you like to venture out? What's your favorite food?
I do like to venture out. I feel like my answer changes per year, depending on if you're looking at like typical state fair food. This is gonna be kind of random, but I actually talked to my dad about this a couple days ago. But about like 10, 12 years ago, um, we were really hungry. We decided to get a cheeseburger, which like fair cheeseburger is not something that like you think like is a go-to thing at the fair. But I kid you not, it was one of the best cheeseburgers I ever had in my life. And we have never found that cheeseburger again. It was like a one-hit wonder.
Wow.
It's always been so disappointing because like we tried to find it like a couple times since then, and like those burgers were terrible. Like they weren't even close to being good. But like the for some reason that burger like 12 years ago was amazing. So,
Yeah.
um, I guess like best overall food experience at the fair was that, which is really random and kind of lame. But yeah, what about y'all?
I'll do two, like my our new mainstay and also my one hit wonder that was fantastic. I'll do the one hit wonder first. Like 5 or 6 years ago, I had fried butter. It was just like half a stick of butter deep fried. And I shared it with a couple people, thought it was going to be bad. And it tasted just like cheesecake. It was so strange. I don't think I've had cheesecake since because it taught me like how much butter is in cheesecake. But that was surprisingly delicious. And then our mainstay lately, we've been doing a lot of trips to Dallas with our friends Kat and Jay Trapp, who are coming up this year, staying at Hamilton's. And Kat is from New Orleans, so they love the fried Cajun food stand. Kind of
Mm.
what's it called? Big Texas left hand is kind of pointing at the fried Cajun food. That's our landmark, but it's super good.
Nice.
We love that.
Nice. For me, I mean the corn dog's the obvious answer, but I like the turkey leg. I feel like when I'm in the
Turkey leg's
giant
pretty good.
crowd, when I'm in a giant crowd, I'm really just looking for like the best protein to weight slash ticket ratio, and I'm just looking to get filled
Yeah.
at, the most convenient opportunity. I don't need to be those tickets are those tickets are hard to come by, so I got to make the most out of it. So those turkey legs, I feel like they make it far and they keep me
Yeah.
pretty full.
I think
Um,
y'all may
Go
know
ahead.
this now because we've been so many times, but Laurel turned me on to this one. The tickets don't expire. So
Hmm.
um
Yep. Yep.
like the tickets that we brought last year, we had tickets from 4 separate years and used them as if they were the same. So we kind of stock up and try to go with a lot so that we don't have to deal with the lines. But just a friendly tip for any listeners or viewers that might be going to the fair for the first time. Don't hesitate to buy too many tickets.
Yep. It's a good tip. Okay, we have one other mailbag. And it's from our dear friend Evan Baldwin. Kevin, this one's for you, or maybe it's a poll the audience slash poll Andy and Bo question. But he asks, how many beers will Kevin have this weekend?
I can I can start, and I have to be careful with this one. To be honest, it's going to depend on how the body's feeling. In my third decade on this planet, some of that's changing for me these days. I'm going to try to stick with just margaritas with good tequila on Friday and light beers on Saturday. And I think like a realistic number to hit is maybe like 12 to 15 for the whole weekend, um, which is going to be plenty.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I don't have a guess. So we'll all have fun this weekend. So
yeah.
it won't just be Kevin.
And
I
that
think,
include that's not just the fair too. That's like Hamilton's
yeah,
house, like
yeah. This
Yeah,
breakfast
yeah.
beer,
breakfast taco beer, like
shower
all in,
beer.
all in. Late
Yeah, yeah,
Friday, Mario
yeah,
Kart, that's everything. So not to scare anybody.
yeah. I had 20, but that was without the, margarita Friday. So,
Yeah,
if we take that into consideration, I think mine probably comes to yours, Kev. So that's a
yeah.
pretty good.
Margaritas count. Um, one thing that I wanted to talk about because like I have a ticket. Fortunately, I know you two are still shopping for them, but the ticket prices are crazy. They seem to go up every single year. Um, like what are you guys seeing on the ticket market? Are you actually going to go to this game and pay for one? Or like if not, what's your strategy on how to watch it at the fair?
For me, I've gone every year since 2000, so very motivated to go to the game. They've been really expensive, as Kev has mentioned. If I had to bet, I bet we probably do end up going to the game. Um, I don't think I would pay the prices that they are right now, but I do think they will go down Friday, even Saturday, if you're willing to wait that long. But yeah, by Friday dinner, I think there's probably a good chance we'll pull the trigger.
Yeah.
But what
I,
about you?
Andy, I don't see a future in which you don't pull trigger on the tickets. I think you're going to be checking SeatGeek Friday dinner, Saturday morning. I think Saturday morning you already had the tickets, but if not, like that's for sure not. But yeah, I think for
Yeah.
us, so Emily's coming with me this year, which I'm super stoked about because we haven't gone together in a number of years. And my folks are coming up to Austin to watch Theo and our dog Alfie for the weekend. So that's why Kevin was alluding to. We won't be able to make it up by Friday because they're coming up on Friday, but we'll be there on Saturday. And so now it's the two of us. And in years past, I've been able to request tickets through, our season tickets, but I think partially because of our move to SEC and a lot of new money coming in, my loyalty points just aren't hitting. So we weren't able to get any requested tickets from CDC, unfortunately. And like you said, on the secondary market, they're just pretty pricey. So I think we're gonna just try at the beer garden this year. We've never done it. As far as where to watch it, Kevin, I have no idea. I was actually Googling today on like beer gardens in Fair Park and where TVs are, but I assume there will be any, tons of TVs around. So we'll probably just pick a place in the shade, and I at least know Jake and his wife Macy won't be getting tickets, and I don't think Cayman or Kristen are just a few friends. So I think there'll be at least a small group of us. So we'll
Hmm.
be able to plop down somewhere and catch the game. And hopefully, if it's a blowout, which knock on wood it is by halftime, maybe there's a bunch of Sooners walking out of the game. We can bum a ticket off of them. So that'd be pretty cool too. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. But I think the game plan right now is to try the beer garden out.
I think that'll be a good move because with the game later, um, I know for me, like Laura wants to get to the fair at like 9:30 still. So you will have friends in that beer garden with really good seats that will be moving to the
Hmm.
game and you can hop right in and probably get a great space to watch. But that'll be interesting just to follow. Like, are you guys buying tickets? That's tough for you because that means let's if you're buying tickets at dinner on Friday, that's like $1,000. So, whew.
I don't think I'll be paying 1,000, but we'll
Well,
see.
I
We'll
mean,
see how it plays out. But
two
I know
tickets
what you mean.
combined would be
Yeah, 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 yeah.
like almost $1,000. Um, all right, so maybe half or a little bit more than half of our enjoyment of this weekend is like traditions, the fair, seeing friends, but obviously we want to get into breaking down how OU season has been, like what we should watch for on the field on Saturday, and then betting the game, like what's the line, how much do we like Texas? But we've implemented a little bit of a new segment this year where we take some time to get to know the university that we're about to play. OU is a familiar one, so we won't run you through the regular, um, statistics on students and whatnot. But one thing that we did want to share to understand who is OU is a an article that lists out 5 key facts that was recently published about the university by the university. So normally we do a quick fast facts segment. We'll do this one quick. OU made it easy for us. They published an article titled 5 Things You Need to Know About OU's Financial Situation. And here's the spark notes. Very surprising stuff. OU has close to $1 billion in debt. This debt, they say, has grown rapidly due to new construction in recent years. They've been spending way too much money. They say this year there was a projected $25 million budget deficit. Exciting stuff. The article goes on to say we've been raiding our cash reserves to pay our bills. It makes me so happy. Now, OU can't raise tuition to cover this shortfall because in the past 5 years, they've already increased tuition on their students by 25%. They say they can't keep borrowing, that it's not prudent to continue borrowing at the same pace. And finally, they're about to fire a ton of administrators to cut costs. And I think this is really ironic for a university whose leading spirit group is a literal shotgun firing squad. Boomer. So, what do you guys think of that? The fact that OU's in dire straits financially.
They poor as hell, Kev. They poor as hell.
It was
It was a
quite the
great
article.
read.
It was like, uh, I think on one hand, I guess it's like transparency and like, you know, trying to have a very like candid view of like the situation, but they had to know that this was just going to be. I'm surprised it wasn't like unpublished immediately because it is pretty brutal. It is pretty brutal. It is a very dire outlook on the state of OU's program for sure, or university, not even their program, just existentially.
This is like financial TMI. And the article is still there. Like
Yeah.
I had to Google to find it this week to prep, to break it down quickly, and it's still there. So I don't know why you would publish something like that if you weren't about to like cut administrators by like a third, but $1 billion for a um, you know, education institution is quite a bit. They're following the rules of our federal government, which maybe we should all follow too. So
Spin, baby.
yeah, so the school in general is actually kind of struggling right now. But we'll take a look now at how the football team is doing. So the Sooners are 4-1 so far this season, and they've got a little bit of quarterback controversy, which we'll get into. They have wins against Temple, Houston, Tulane, and last week against Auburn on the road, their first road game. And they notably lost to Tennessee a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, by 10 points. Um, if you were watching that game, they were like close to shutout for like 3 quarters. So it was a wider margin than that score sounds like. Um, so, they're not necessarily struggling. I think they're ranked 18th in the AP poll. Um, and we'll see a little bit more of that on the field. So Andrew, let's talk about like their head coach. They have a returning head coach, kind of new face of the program. How's Venables doing?
Yeah, real quick, just want to share the time this year is at 2:30 instead of 11. Most of y'all know that already, but that is a big difference from the last 15 years. It's going to be pretty hot. It's going to be low 90s, not a lot of wind. So if you're going, be ready to sweat, probably get sunburn. But yeah, Brent Venables, this is his third year at Oklahoma. He really benefited from what I think was a pretty easy schedule last year. Did beat us though, so got to give props to him. But his record overall is 20-11. I'm curious to see how it'll be after this season, as their schedule's a lot harder. For y'all that don't know, he was the defensive coordinator at OU for about 12 years, and then he was the defensive coordinator at Clemson for about 10 before taking the OU job. So he's really defensive minded. His team has kind of followed that footprint this year. And yeah, their offense has struggled to say the least. But Kev, dive into the offense a little bit more for us.
Yeah, like you said, it's not the OU offense that we got so used to in years past, with Heisman quarterbacks. They're only scoring 28.6 points per game. And for the season, their offense has only gained like 1,400 to 1,500 yards, which is really not much. The Longhorns have gained over 1,000 more yards offensively than Oklahoma, which is just a crazy stat. And another weird one is um, Arch Manning passing has like over half of OU's total offensive production, and Arch has played like less than half of the season. So that kind of jumps off the page that they're just struggling on offense. Like we alluded to this earlier, and we'll get into it here, but they have replaced their quarterback Jackson Arnold with what was the backup at the start of the season, Michael Hawkins Jr., and are kind of dealing with that a little bit. But other areas that they're struggling on offense is the offensive line's really not good. That's impacting their rushing game and protecting the quarterback. They're only averaging 3.7 yards per rush, and they've already given up 14 sacks through 5 games, which is just a pretty crazy number. They've got a lot of injuries with their wide receivers. Um, Deion Burks is injured right now. He's a guy that scored 3 touchdowns in their home opener versus Temple. He's been out. Um, Also in the season last year, Deion Burks scored 7 touchdowns and was one of their leading receivers. So they've also got Andrell Anthony, Jarrell Farouk, and Nick Anderson hurt in the wide receiver room. So it's similar to what's going on in our running back room, but their receivers have a lot of injuries. So that'll be interesting to watch this week if any of those kind of become active again, get healthy enough to play this weekend. The offense might look a little bit different. But the big story that you'll hear a lot about is kind of the early season failure of their starting quarterback, Jackson Arnold. He's had a lot of trouble with turnovers and passing accuracy. I don't fault him a whole lot, seeing how bad their offensive line is, but as of the Auburn game last weekend or last game, Jackson Arnold got replaced by backup Michael Hawkins Jr. Um, Hawkins will be the first true freshman at OU to start a Red River rivalry game. And in the passing game, he's about as efficient as Jackson Arnold. His completion percentage is a couple points higher at 62%. Um, but I think what's interesting about Michael Hawkins Jr. is he's more of a running threat than Jackson Arnold was. And if we think back to last year, one of the key areas that we were deficient in defensively, and one of the reasons why we lost was we were really bad against Dylan Gabriel's quarterback run. If you guys remember, he ran for like almost 120 yards in the game and got a lot of chunk plays and first downs just with his legs. And this Michael Hawkins Jr. guy is um, he's running a lot more than even Jackson Arnold did. So I looked at you know Arnold and Hawkins together. So per pass attempt, Arnold was rushing 0.4 times per pass attempt. Michael Hawkins Jr. is rushing 0.75 times. So it's
Mm.
close to 1-to-1. We're going to see a lot of quarterback run. Um, Once I noticed that, I started looking at like, okay, our defense is good, but what kind of quarterbacks has Texas been playing against? And this is an area that I think I will be able to convince you guys to be concerned about, because we haven't played against a dynamic rushing quarterback yet, not even close. So in the Colorado State game, Colorado State had no quarterback rushing yards. In the Michigan game, they only had three quarterback rushing yards. And in our last three games, there's actually been negative quarterback rushing yards because they're not looking to run and they're getting sacked a lot. So we haven't played an offense that is like multifaceted or multidimensional
Yeah.
like this. And it's also an area that was proven to be a weakness for us last year. So, um, different offense than we've seen before. I don't know if we can totally say like, we're second in the country in total defense. We're going to kill Oklahoma because this is um, the running quarterback is not something that we've
Yeah.
seen yet. So what, just
Yeah.
like briefly, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah. Gabriel killed us last year. That was brutal to watch, especially in the last. I've blocked it out of my memory, just like last minute 20 or whatever it was, but that was brutal. That is great insight though, Kev. Like not having faced a dual threat. Texas has not fared well against any dual threats. Like Taysom Hill comes to mind, right? Like just all sorts of crazy runners in our past. But one of my other first thoughts was like, this is the optimistic age. We're Texas in the SEC now. There's a new era. My one of my first thoughts was, hey, at least like the ones are probably going against Arch in practice. And he's a dual threat. Like he's running all over the place. So at least there will be that. And I don't know, scout team might have some sort of prowess, but Arch is definitely running, maybe not 0.75 rushes, but yeah, at least they do go against that. Andy, what do you think? Does that make you nervous?
No, I mean, yeah, Kev, you great insight by you. And if you have the option of playing a true dual threat quarterback or one that's not, you're always going to choose the latter in that scenario. So, I mean, that's definitely a concern. And Hawkins is extremely fast. He honestly reminds me, running ability wise, like Kyler Murray. I mean, he's real elusive. He can, take it 80 yards to the house if the opportunity presents itself. But the thing that doesn't make me as nervous about facing this OU offense was last year, Gabriel, he's more known for his passing ability. And I think Texas went into the game thinking, well, he's not going to run that much. And as a result, I think those opportunities presented themselves because we didn't really have a focused effort on trying to stop his running game until it was too late. Um, this year, OU has not been able to, they haven't been proven themselves to throw the ball effectively. And Hawkins really can only throw the deep ball, kind of like Jalen Milrow, but to a lesser degree. Um, Jalen Milrow last year, not this year. And I just think with our defense, I would just be shocked if OU is just going to score a ton of points on offense. Personally, I'm more concerned about their defense and how they could potentially stop us that way. But if OU scores more than 20, 24 points in this game, I think is a disappointment. Personally, I just don't. That shows our defense was not, and our game plan was not ready to play against Oklahoma, which I just don't think is going to happen this year.
I feel a little bit better after hearing y'all's perspectives on that. If I were a fan or a viewer, that's something to keep an eye on. Is Hawkins Jr. running all over us, and is he rushing a lot? Um, but like
And do
like
we
you
have an
alluded to, Andrew,
answer?
tell
Like, are
us.
we are we are we getting to him, right? Or is he like just running free? Like, we have to have a spy out there for him for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
that
to
that'd
the
be
to the
good to watch
casual
for.
viewer, it will look different because the teams that we've played against and dominated, they don't try to do this at all. So it'll look new. But um, you're concerned about the defense. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think their defense is one of the best defenses in the country. A lot of experience. they're really well sound all across the board. Um, you know, they famously said last year, Stutzman and I think Downs last year, they had the T-shirts that said "OU only fears God" and Texas fears Oklahoma. Um, so supposedly that's the case. Hopefully we don't fear OU this weekend, but yeah, they've have 18 sacks on the season. That's near the top of the country right now. They only give up 2.6 yards per rush, which sack yards are taken into that, but overall, they're not allowing the run to happen, which is really important in this game. If you can't run the ball, you typically do not win this game. So I think for OU, their mentality has to be just like stop the run at all costs against Texas. Um, and that could present some interesting passing opportunities for Texas, but we'll see. They're pretty opportunistic as well. 11 turnovers on the season, um, 8 picks, 3 fumble recoveries. Um, yeah, overall, I mean, Stutzman, Kip Lewis had the interception return against Auburn. I can name their whole defensive first string. They're just really solid, um, and I think they're going to have the ability to stop Texas to a degree. I don't think they'll completely shut us down, but I really do think the only way OU wins this game is if they control the ball for a long period of time. On offense, they're able to run the ball, and their defense plays their best game of the year. And if they do that, that definitely can happen. I would feel a lot better about OU's chances. But if their defense doesn't perform as well as they did last year, or even a little bit better, it might be a long day for the Sooners. But what about y'all? Any other insights about the defense that caught your eye?
I don't have anything to add to you, Bun.
No, no, that was good insight. I'm also nervous about the defense after you've kind of gone into that. I was not expecting that because I haven't watched them play this year. So that is
Yeah.
stressful, and I'm glad Quinn's back. We love Arch, but this is a very pro Quinn podcast.
Hmm.
His knowledge of our scheme and what Sark wants to do and the personnel and his experience. I think having what you like, knowing what you said, I think an inexperienced Arch who is going to be phenomenal and is really good, but probably just needs time to be able to get to the collegiate level, and the speed. I feel and we got our Quinn support blanket, so I feel real good about that this weekend.
Yeah. And just
Yeah.
we are a huge Quinn pod. I listened to Sark's presser yesterday and he was obviously asked about this. He said Quinn is feeling better. He's still, being monitored daily, but it sounded like Quinn's definitely going to start barring a surprise injury during practice this week. And Sark also didn't back down from referring to Quinn as the starter and Arch as the backup. He just said, honestly, that's how he feels. So Quinn will be starting, barring any surprise this week. Andrew, you alluded there to the importance of the rushing battle and running the ball in this rivalry in particular. Can you go more into that and also, other keys to the game that you're watching for?
Yeah, I mean, running the ball is a huge, huge importance to this game, especially since 2000. Last year, I felt really confident going into the game because we had Jonathan Brooks. He was killing it throughout the season. OU was not really running the ball that well. So in my mind, I was like, we're going to be able to run the ball on them. They're going to have a tough time running against our rush defense, which at the time and for the rest of the season after this game was elite. So I was very optimistic about this. And last year we talked about it. Dylan Gabriel using the quarterback run, the just using the run game in different ways, um, really allowed them to rush the ball, and they ended up winning the rushing battle that day, which I would not have guessed. Um, and so, yeah, 21 out of 24 times since 2000. So, not counting the Big 12 championship, but I'm pretty sure this was the case in the Big 12 championship too. So, against them. So, 22 out of 25 times since 2000, the team that's rushed the ball more has ended up winning the game. So, it's a huge thing. In the years that didn't happen, 2006, both teams tied. so that doesn't really count. 2014, that was a really weird game. We gave up a pick six and a kickoff return. If we didn't do either one of those, we probably win the game. And then 2018, um, Kyler Murray just kind of exploded with the rush game at the end. They kind of overtook us at the end on the rushing battle, but just shows you how important it is to win the rushing battle. In Texas, it's going to have to be creative in how we run the ball, because if we try to run between the tackles, it's not going to bode well for us. But we already have seen a blueprint this season, how we did against Michigan. Very similar concept where Michigan had a elite defensive line, and we were able to run the ball on them. So I have optimism and hope for Texas to run the ball this weekend, and I know Sark is going to kind of cook up some things as well. Turnovers are really important too. In this game, 2 out of 3 times, whoever wins the turnover battle wins the game. And then lastly, I guess, this kind of key to the game is what is leading to my optimism. So ever since 2000, if you look at the game at the Cotton Bowl, and if you're reflecting back on the season, so say like the end of the 2005 season, if you were to look back and see who was a better team at the end of the season overall, and then look at the Texas OU game from that season, it's pretty rare that the lesser team, the team that's just complete, like a complete clarity of not performing or not as good of a team as the other team, wins the game. Now there's upsets, but usually the times that there are upsets, it's usually the team that pulls off the upset is better than expected, if that makes sense. So just going back through this timeline since 2000, there's really only 5 instances where the clear lesser team won the game. And really, it's, in my opinion, I think it's 3. 2006 and 2013, technically, OU had better records than Texas that year. 2006, Colt McCoy gets hurt at the end of the year. I think that's the reason why OU ends up with a better record. 2013, we were honestly pretty even. Texas had an opportunity to win the Big 12 championship that season at Waco. Ended up not happening. We lost our bowl game. That led us to have a less or worse record than OU. But really, both those years, I think we were better than OU. So, in my opinion, the only years where there was a clear difference in the teams where the lesser team won, 2015, still have no idea how Texas won that game. We were clearly worse than OU. We went 5-7 that season, did not belong on the same field as OU, but we did that day. 2018, we were pretty close, honestly, but OU made the college football playoff. You got to give credit to OU there. But we did match up pretty well against that OU team. And then last year, 2023, OU pulled off the upset. We made the college football playoff. They went 10-3, I think. So really only 3 instances since 2000 have the clearly lesser team won this game. And there's this, I would be shocked if OU by the end of the season can say they are a clearly better team than Texas. So that, to me, gives me a lot of optimism in this game this weekend, because I really do think talent-wise, team-wise, we are the better team. It might not mean anything. We might lose, but I do think this is going to bode well for us.
Yeah. Well, we got our picks coming up at the end, but before then, some weekly trivia, and I would hope that this has some more historic elements from this rivalry, Andrew.
Yes, it does. Okay, so we'll be pretty quick with the trivia. So the trivia this week, the theme of it is Oklahoma. So just keep that in mind. So let's get to the first question. So the Boomer Sooner phrase that OU fans refer to, or they use during games, whatever, refers to the land run in Oklahoma when the settlers first were able to acquire land. Previously, it belonged to Native Americans. Not going to dive too much into the history, but when the land ran, what year was the land run in Oklahoma? That's the first question.
We'll do honor system here, Bowen. I'm gonna go 1870.
Dang. I actually had 1874 in my head.
All right.
He said 74, Bowen.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Bowen's the winner. It is 1889.
Oh,
Ooh.
nice.
So Bowen gets a point.
Closest
And
to the
guys,
pin.
I forgot to tell y'all, Kevin started this week with a 7-5 edge, now 7-6. Let's go to the next question. There's actually two more questions here. OU has had quite a run with Heisman Trophy winners since 2000. Can you name all four of them? Bowen, you go first. Kevin, you go second. Um, Bo, let us know when you're ready.
Oh
Since
gosh. This
since
honor system.
since
Yeah, just got
2000? What was the year?
2000.
Okay.
2000.
Dang, I think I only have three. Um, I'm just gonna
Just
go
say it if you're ready.
Kyler, Caleb, and Baker.
I'm
Okay.
gonna go Adrian Peterson,
Oh yeah.
Baker, Caleb, and Kyler.
Both of y'all got two there. So
What?
Caleb did not win it at Oklahoma, so that does not count.
Oh, true.
Ah. Was
Adrian
it?
Peterson came in second 1 year, but that doesn't count either. Um, so the other two that you missed, Sam Bradford.
Oh
Mm.
yeah.
So I
He
was
was good.
I, I was thinking y'all would maybe get him. This last
St.
one,
Louis
I
Rams
was not
legend.
I was not expecting y'all to get this. Jason White, he was their quarterback in
Okay.
2003. That one, I would not expect y'all to get that one. So yeah, no points there. Or y'all both can get a point, however y'all want to do it.
No points.
Um,
No blood. No blood.
No
no blood,
points.
no blood. Okay. Uh, so last question: if Bowen gets this, he gets 2 points. If Kevin gets this, he gets a point. Uh, Darrell Roll, the famous Texas coach who won 3 national championships, played college football at Oklahoma. What positions did he play? And that was plural. There was two positions he played. Kevin, you go first. Bowen, you go second.
Okay,
I'm
hold on.
gonna
Don't go yet, Kev.
say,
Don't go yet. Don't go yet.
okay. I think I'd be
Okay.
surprised if I don't get one. I'm gonna say wide receiver and halfback.
Okay, Bowen.
Dang. Well, mine are kind of embarrassing. I said cornerback and quarterback.
Bowen, you nailed it. You got
What?
both of them right.
Oh,
Dang
let's go.
it.
uh, but yeah, he was actually stud at Oklahoma um, at both positions, to be honest. So, Bo, I was not expecting you to get both there. I
That's
was
huge.
truly surprised.
I was just locked into DKR's build. I
Yeah.
nice.
Man, talk about a comeback for Bo. He now leads the season series 8-7. Kev, you got some
Let's
work to
go.
do for the second half of
Man.
the year, but it's gonna be pretty close.
Yeah, it's
That's
neck and neck.
huge. That was a great set of trivia questions, Andy. Thanks. Not just because I won, but those were some solid questions. Learn a little bit history about OU and some Heisman. There's always a trick question. You always got a trick question. You always have a trick question for us, and then a nice one
Got to
about
keep y'all on your
our
toes,
friend DKR. So nice. All right. Well, I got to parlay my weekly trivia success into betting corner because I am. It is the opposite performance there, folks. This was 2 weeks ago now, but Kevin did very well 2 weeks ago. Kevin had was 2.5 units up. Andy fared a little worse. He was a little under 2 units down. I basically had another, we referred to the perfect P the week before. I mean, although I did not do 10 units, I had -9 units. I got all my bets wrong. So pretty bad. Kevin, what thoughts?
My dad requested that we re-explain what the perfect P means, so I'm going to tell this quickly. The
Okay.
perfect P in betting terms means you lost every single wager that you offered up in that weekend. And the term comes from a middle school golf phrase that we used to use. I played a couple tournaments where there was a lot of bad players, and if a player got like a triple bogey or worse on a hole, they were told to pick up the ball and write down a P on their scorecard. So we thought it was hilarious as like seventh graders if someone on our team got a perfect P and had, 9 holes of just straight P's on their scorecard, which means they never actually put it in. They were so bad. So that's what it means when we say the perfect P. And my dad specifically requested that we review the history of that term.
Thanks, Kev. Yep, Mr. Mathis. Hope that was educational for you, and thanks for the clarifying question. And then, so yeah, so last week, 2 weeks ago was not good. So Andy and I both took a hiatus last week. We took the bye week from betting as well. Kevin did not. He was feeling hot. He did not fare well. He lost all his bets, half a perfect P, but he was 5 units down last week. So which brings us to the standings for the season. Kevin is still in the lead. He's almost 2 units up, which is pretty good. Andy's slightly negative, which is basically even, about minus 1.5 unit. But I am faring very poorly. I am now 20 units down from the past 2 weeks. I'm pretty on tilt. So we gotta really, really pick up the performance this week, and hopefully we can start with our Longhorns. We go into Dallas to Red River as 14 and a half point favorites. So again, listeners, Vegas is expecting our margin of victory to be 14 and a half points. Um, as y'all know that from Red Rivers in the past, this game is always crazy. The total for the game, which is the combined score, is 49 and a half, which is about the same range. It's a little on the lower side than what we've seen in some of the non-conference games that we've had and some of the um, you know, easier games on the schedule that we've had. We're minus 650 on the money line, which means you have to, essentially put 650 up to win 100. Or if you like Oklahoma as long shots, it's plus 450, which is effectively 4 to 5 to 1, 4.5 to 1 on your return. So yeah, Vegas really, really expects us not to be close, which can be scary. Kevin, we're gonna go to you first. What are you liking on this Texas game?
I like the cover, but not a ton. I'm gonna put 1 unit on Texas covering the 14 and a half, and I'm also gonna put 1 unit on the over. So 49 and a half is a pretty low over for college football. So those will be my two bets for this game. How about you,
Okay.
Andrew?
So with this game, Bowen kind of talked about it. Usually, when teams are favored by this amount, the cover does not happen. I am pretty confident that Texas will win the game. However, I don't feel great about the cover. Historically, it just has not happened. This kind of makes me sick to my stomach. Give me 4 units on the Texas cover. Somehow we're going to do
Oh, I forgot for a second that you were doing the opposite of what your gut tells you.
it.
Nice,
Got you there,
nice.
Kev.
But also, I'm surprised a little bit that you're that pessimistic in betting because I think you were more optimistic than me when we were looking at Oklahoma. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I will be happy if we win by 1 point. I just it's tough for me with the way OU is going to play. It's tough for me seeing us covering. But I gotta go against my gut. So
Yeah, nice. Okay, for me this week, I'm diving into some exotic territory. I need to change up the approach. I'm going into some teasers, which for listeners and for you, Kevin, Andy, essentially you can put two bets together. It's almost like a parlay, and you can juice up the spread to buy some points and bundle some bets together to make them essentially one bet. So what I'm doing is I'm taking Oklahoma to cover. I'm teasing that up 6 points, which brings OU to cover 20. And then I'm also pairing that with my Texans are going up to Foxborough to play the Patriots, who are starting Drake May. The Texans, when I got this bet in, was 7 point favorites. Um, so so the Pats were expected to, be or plus 7. So I'm teasing the Pats up to plus 13 and OU plus 20. And that brings me to minus 120. And I'm doing 6 units on that. So it's a kind of a Kev special, the emotional hedge, where yeah, we can win, but we could also win the bet too. So
Yeah.
that's what we got going this week.
would be nice if we win, but I could also make money if I was
Yeah.
disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. Got to pay for those turkey legs somehow. Okay, what about elsewhere in college football or other sports? Andy, we'll go back to you. You liking anything? There's a lot of huge games out there. Oregon, big matchup in Eugene with Ohio State coming into town. Yeah, what are you liking?
So these next two picks, I utterly despise them. Like these picks make me sick to my stomach. So they probably are going to happen. Uh, Give me Oregon money line against Ohio State. Uh, really don't see a world where that happens. I think Ohio State is superior to Oregon. But yeah, give me the money line for the Ducks. USC, they struggle against Big Ten, good Big Ten defensive lines. Their offensive line has not done very well. Penn State has a very good defensive line. Doesn't really make sense for me to take USC, but I'm going to give me USC money line against the Nittany Lions. So both of those for 2 units each. That rounds me out for the week.
Yeah. And I like betting on the big games because they're the ones that I'm inevitably going to watch. I'm also gonna take Oregon money line over Ohio State for 2 units. Um, and another big game is LSU plays Ole Miss. I'm gonna take LSU money line over Ole Miss for 2 units. Um, and I got a few others, but those are the ones that I'll highlight now.
Nice. Nice. Those will be good. I have another tease, but it's in the NFL as well, so I won't cover that here. But yeah, diving into some exotic options this time around. So yeah, I'll get those bets in, fellas, and we'll see how we fare. I guess I'm gonna turn into a big Buckeyes fan for the sake of betting corner this weekend. But all right, let's get some score predictions. Kevin, starting with you, real quick, lightning round. What do you like? What do you think in this game was gonna be?
I think we win 35-17. I want to believe that this Texas team is that good, and I'll be there to watch it.
Nice,
There
Andy.
you go. Give me 34-13. Got to cover the spread.
Okay, I have 42-17. I think we're gonna put some points up
Wow.
there. I think OU is gonna score too, but I like a lot of points there.
Yeah. All picking a win. Love that.
Okay, cool. All right. Last segment, our remaining mailbag that was not a State Fair related is also from Matt Hack. Um, yeah, I think this is a good question. Just kind of pulse check after we've covered everything and kind of looking ahead to the rest of the season. His question is, are Ohio State and Texas in a tier above the rest of college football? Yeah, with all the chaos that we kind of detailed out earlier in the pod and with the shakeup, what do y'all think? Andy, we'll go to you first. Do you think that there is a tier split there, or is it just a matter of time before kind of the parity comes out more?
I think the honest answer to this is gotta wait and see. I think Texas has not been tested to the level that some of these other teams have been tested, and neither has Ohio State. Um, I guess on the Texas front, I can't really speak a ton about Ohio State. I do think they're pretty solid across the board. But for Texas, last year, there are some weaknesses with the Texas team that you could easily point to. Um, with this year's team, I don't see that as much. Sure, we might not be as good in the with like a rush defense as last year, but we're still pretty good. And overall, as a team, we're very solid. There's hardly any weak spots on our team, and really not anything that is noticeable to just like the average fan. So, to my like opinion, I think Texas could potentially be in a tier above the rest of college football, but that question will not be answered at least for another 2 weeks. But what about y'all? What do y'all think?
Yeah,
I
Kev, what
I
about you?
agree totally. I don't have a whole lot to add, especially with like Ohio State's roster looking good, but the fact that they really haven't played anyone yet. If that is the case, Texas has to go out and prove it. Like we've got OU, we got Georgia, we got A&M, and we got I think 3 or 4 other SEC games that are, might be trap games. We'll be scared day before. Like there's a lot of football to play, so that might be the case, but like we just don't know yet.
Yep. Yep, agreed there. All right, folks. Well, that'll do it for us. We hope y'all enjoyed this OU Texas OU preview. For those that are making it up, I-35 up to Dallas from Austin, or is it 45 from Houston to Dallas, or
Yeah,
wherever
45.
you may be joining from. We hope y'all have a safe trip. If y'all are listening to this on your drive up, drive safe. Don't fall into a speed trap. And we'll see you on Saturday. Hopefully, unfortunately, I don't think we'll have a low resting heart rate game no matter how the state of the game is, but that would be nice. But we'll have a good Saturday regardless, and it'll be a whole heck of a lot of fun. And fellas, I'm excited to see y'all as well. But that'll do it for us here at Football on the 40, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Hook 'em.